I don't know why my AC is not cutting off here, but I believe we're feeding out to the people. It should shut off here in a second. So my apologies to everyone for that if you guys are picking up that sound on the microphone. Okay, you guys are watching the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. I am your host, Hank Strange. This is the most prolific Freedom Second Amendment podcast on the face of this and every other known planet in the universe, the galaxy, and this quadrant of space, Walt. You know.
Yeah, this is this the Alpha Quadrant?
Yeah.
Or is this okay?
Yeah. So I want to remind everyone, go to hankstrange.com, sign up for the email list there. We got lots of things, lots of links. If you guys are looking for links that you can use to support us, you will find it on hankstrange.com. You know, in the chat right now, I have a link for U.S. Law Shield. You guys can sign up for U.S. Law Shield. If you do a yearly membership, we have a link that you can save some money. A couple of those shekels come to us. I'm throwing that up on the screen for anyone who's watching. If you're listening, we have it in the description, or it's on hankstrange.com, where you can hit us up, and we will definitely get that out to you. Let's see here. Oh, I'm going to do an opening, Walter. You're a rock and roll guy, right? I think this is
Oh yeah.
Let's see if you recognize this. Dark in the sky, night is a wire, steam in the subway, earth is a fire. Okay? Do. I don't know if I'm even doing that one right. Woman, you want me, give me a sign, and catch me breathing even closer behind. You know, then there's like the more do-do-do's in there. In touch with the ground, I'm on the hunt,
touch with your ass.
I'm after you, smell like a sound, I'm lost in the crowd, I'm hungry like the wolf.
Oh, that's Duran Duran. But that's not rock and roll. That's like 80s stuff, man. That's
okay. I'm on the hunt, I'm after you. Mouth is alive, with juices like wine. And I'm hungry
I'm on
like
the hunt,
a wolf.
I'm after you. Yeah.
That's my best Captain Kirk. Remember when Captain Kirk read that? What was
he read
song?
those lines?
No, what was the song that Captain Kirk read? And he did it like, you know, he did it like the perfect William Shatner. He did his.
What happened to my computer?
He did he kind of like mimicked his own weird self that he does, you know.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, someone will tell us here what was the thing that William Shatner read, and you know, and it became viral. I can't remember the name of it, but there was a viral thing that William Shatner. Okay, maybe Babyface will help us out with that.
Where is he?
Let's see. Here he goes. He's joining us right now. Babyface,
better late than never.
Yeah. Just a couple of things
some
here.
Nuki or something. You better be getting some Nuki or something. You know, if you come in late.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You missed my great rendition of "Hungry Like the Wolf."
I actually had the stream running while it was loading, while I was loading in, and I heard your.
Were you laughing? Were you laughing at us?
Yes.
It's like these people are sick. Okay. Yes. What was the song that William Shatner? Remember, there was a song that William Shatner read like a poem, and it was. Remember that thing?
Yes.
What is?
I
that?
have no idea.
Okay, someone tell us. Tell us what it is. Appalachian Gunrunner says, I always look forward to Sunday's show. Oh, listen, I got to do the whole open and everything. Big shout out to TUSC Firearms Crypto down there. By the way, guys, TUSC is up right now.
No.
You might want to check your check your TUSC holdings.
I'm not worried. Just let it ride.
You mean I'm a millionaire? Did I win the lottery?
Yeah, we'll get into some stuff with TUSC. Let me smash the open here and do the things the way we're supposed to do this. Let's get it going.
Welcome back to the Hank Strange.
All right, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the thumbs up, ring the bell, Walter, ring the bell. Somebody ring the
bell. Is that loud enough?
Okay. Now I'm officially not the worst sounding thing.
Hank was here on Saturday at my hacienda, and he made sure that my microphone was working above and beyond the Call of Duty.
It's working.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Okay, so listen.
Patrick, you won't believe my speed. Oh, I'll tell you in a minute here. Just you grab your chair and hang on.
Let's do jazz hands, guys. Come on, let's do jazz hands. Let's get it going. Okay, I hope you guys have your big girl panties on. This is episode 801. 801 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. It's Free for All Monday. Of course, we've got Babyface P Esquire in the house joining us.
I've thought, do I want? Maybe I could go become an Esquire. I could go back to school, couldn't I?
A lawyer?
I have no idea. How do you become an Esquire? I don't know.
You gotta be a lawyer. You become a lawyer.
That's a lawyer thing.
You have to pass the bar and everything to be an Esquire?
Pass the bar, yeah.
You can do it online, man.
Yeah.
That's right. There you go.
Yes. Yeah. So, and then
I hate to say this, but everybody and their brother is a lawyer or an engineer now. So,
worse
than the Russians. So.
Lots of lawyers out there. And speaking of lawyers and Russians, we got Walther Killer Keller also joining us.
Can you see me right now? I'm checking my speed. My download speed is like frickin' incredible. Let's go back.
He's so excited. Walter, you're so excited.
Oh.
You're not going to believe this. You want to hear it, Patrick?
I would love to.
Download is 763. Upload is 942.
That's just pure insanity. I can't even believe that's real.
I'm hooked up to the Ethernet wire.
I'm insanely jealous of these internet speeds that Walter has. Totally ridiculous.
So on Saturday, my wife's computer that she uses is it's 80s slow. So we checked the download speed on that, and it's like 8 and 7.
Yeah.
1, 8,
yeah.
and
on Peggy,
7.
On Peggy's computer.
Is hers so slow?
Well, it's old, first thing. The PC is old.
Yeah.
And I think there's other issues going on with the PC as far as maybe lots of things running in the background and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But primarily it's old. So,
yeah. And that'll chew up bandwidth.
Yeah, so we're going to take care of that here pretty soon.
LV Louis Cypher says Duran Duran is new wave.
New wave.
Oh, he also had an answer to your question, too.
Oh, okay. And the Juice says Hank's been watching Cobra Kai again. I have not had a chance to actually watch Cobra Kai. I do want to. But I'm letting all the episodes build up. Are you not interested? You guys aren't interested in Cobra Kai?
What is it? Another Netflix show or something?
Remember Karate Kid?
Is it going to be political? Yeah, that's why.
So it's the continuation of Karate Kid, the Karate Kid.
But
movies.
is it all political? Because everything is political now.
I don't.
It's they're going to have to have the lesbian fighters and the the interracial couples and all that stuff, and it goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
I mean, not that doesn't happen in real life, but it doesn't happen with 10 people. There's one of everything. It doesn't happen in real life.
Yeah. LV Louis Cypher, as you said Bill Shatner did a comedy album. One of the titles of the songs was called Has Been. But there was a thing on there that he did, and let's say he was reading this Hungry Like a Wolf thing. He would go, "I'm in touch with the ground. I'm on the hunt. I'm after you." You don't remember? No one remembers that? It was so stupid.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was so ridiculous. It was like, it was one of those things that you couldn't help, like, what's happening here? Am I actually watching this?
We came across an interesting show last night. I think it was on Netflix or one of those things. James May in Japan.
Amazon.
Oh, on Amazon? Yeah.
Yeah, Amazon. James May in Japan.
He sounds familiar. That name sounds familiar.
He's from Top Gear, Grand Tour.
Top Gear.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
The one that was always the slow guy. The slowest of the three.
Yeah, Mr. Slowly. Mr. Slowly.
It's an interesting show, actually. It's interesting.
Yeah. So shout out to everyone. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of different things going on here. Kathleen Music Lover says Walter loves woke TV.
No. God. I don't need, one thing, I when I turn the television on or anything like that, I don't need to be preached to. I don't need to be preached about how I should look and how I should talk and who I should have friends with and all that bullshit.
Someone's always preaching to us. Patrick, we can't see you. You're not well centered in this thing.
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
Yeah.
No, other way.
There you go. There you go. Maybe.
There we go.
Yeah. There you go. I think that's a little bit better. Richard Monder says Captain Slow. Also, Richard Monder said he's okay from Saturday. What happened on Saturday? I don't know. A lot of things been going on today. I probably am not up to speed on everything.
My
and
Saturday was fine. I don't know about anybody
Does-
else's Saturday.
Did something happen in England on Saturday? I don't know what's happening. He'll have to. I'm not sure. I have to go through my emails and see if something happened with Richard Monder, and then he, you know, I don't know if he's checking in like Richard Monder is checking in safe. You know,
He's at the safe house.
from the sale at Salisbury's. You know, is this Saint? I think it's Sainsbury's or something. Is it Sainsbury's or Sales? Richard Monder will have to tell me.
Yeah.
That's like a grocery store, supermarket outlet.
Oh, okay. I
think
always
it-
think of the Tesco. We always go to Tesco when we're
Yeah,
there.
I want to say it's Sainsbury's.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, So
That was
Chris-
the Tesco.
yeah, Chris Bullis says I have news. My apartment got broken into this weekend. Oh, man.
wow.
Oh no.
Yeah. Hope you're okay.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you were there or not. What did they get from you? You know. Brian Quick says protests, the lockdowns, and vaccine mandates. Are people in England protesting that now?
The people in France are kicking off with the local PD about
Yeah.
mandates.
Like I said, you guys, France has never really calmed down from when the yellow jackets were walking around. It's still going on over there, and it's boiling. It's gonna boil.
Yeah.
It's gonna boil.
I didn't know England was doing that. Let me see if I can look up protests in
Tesco,
England.
yeah.
Protests. Let's see. Protests in England.
So I didn't know a lot
England.
of news about England, but I did see the thing about the French kicking off with
The French were going at it.
Riot cops came in and were beating people
In France?
in France. Yeah, no, they and the
What?
French were fighting back against the riot cops. No, it was
really?
crazy.
Oh, hold on a second.
That's
We
a
may have to
bad.
look
That's
that
a
up here.
bad. That's a bad.
It's because
Oh,
Macron
there
came
were
out.
protests. There were protests in England. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that one. Yeah, Macron came out saying that he's renewing he's locking the country back down. Something like that.
Yeah, Macron. Yeah. So London
What's this
protests.
about?
Thousands march through Capitol in day of protest, and this is dated the 26th.
Oh, this was today. Yeah, I did see this. It just goes to show that the British people have no true freedom of speech. There was a woman who I don't know her name, and I didn't see what she was speaking about. That stood on the up front with a microphone and gave a speech about something, and everybody started denouncing her about how it's hate speech and it's terrible. And then the what's this? Sadiq Khan said that they should be investigating her for saying whatever she said.
Speaking her mind.
Yeah, basically.
They don't.
No.
I know they don't. They don't arrest the Muslim folks when they go out and start preaching on the side of the street. So.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. London. It was in London. Is the one I saw today.
Jolly old England. Yes.
Okay, so yeah, there is news also on France. Let's see here.
France. France.
France.
France.
Who are France's anti-vaccine rule protesters, and what do they want?
They want to be left the fuck alone. That's what they
Exactly.
want.
What is it?
It's like everybody's protesting because just leave me the f alone.
How hard is it for people to understand that? I don't
Get
understand.
out of it.
Yeah, it's talking about a retired professor here they were talking to. He says, I'm against vaccination, both for medical reasons, especially safety and weak safeguards, and political reasons because the vaccine is imposed on us.
Oh,
if-
yes.
you
Then
know,
it's
Yeah. So, of course, like the media, a lot of these media places, obviously, you are a terrorist if you're against the vaccine, right? I mean,
Richard Monder brought up this other point that the NHS has, for anybody listening, is National Health Service in the UK.
yeah, in England,
Yeah, they have this app that, oh god, I can't remember how many millions, 30, 40 million people downloaded, which
A rat
basically it pings you if you came in contact with somebody who had who came in contact with somebody who had COVID.
It's a rat app.
But yeah, it's exactly what it is. But the problem is it's not smart. A lot of Englanders, a lot of UKers live wall to wall with people. So your neighbor gets corona. It doesn't know that. It just sees a distance and goes, "Oh,
you're next door to him, and your address, you get."
So what's happening is it's pinging lots of people who don't have COVID, who have been vaccinated, who are safe. So they're not showing up, and it's telling them, "Hey, you should quarantine for 14 days." So they're not showing up to work. So supermarkets, truck drivers are few and far between right now, and because of that, your grocery stores are running out of everyday supplies. The whole chain that follows the truck drivers not doing their job. And then everybody else is going, well, I got pinged. I'm not showing up to work, so there's a shortage.
One of the weird things, I don't have it right in front of me, but there was a news article last week. I thought we talked about it, where it said that of the people who are getting this new strain of the virus, 60% of them they found in England have already been vaccinated.
Well, yeah, because it's a different mutation, a different strain of it. So you're not going to be protected from it. It's just like the flu.
It's the flu. Yeah, think of the flu.
No,
you get a different strain every year.
No, it's not like
and I'm going to ask this question again. What happened to the flu this year?
Aliens kidnapped they are anally probing the flu right now.
There's no money in the flu, my friend. There's no money to be made in the flu.
Have you guys seen the new goalpost being moved now? Because remember, goalpost was just 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Just a couple months to get everybody. We're now to the point where they're saying Delta variant is coming in and people are getting infected. We need to lock back down.
No.
If you look at the stats, there is a spike in infections. Even here in Florida, there's a spike in infections.
For sure.
You look at the stats for deaths, it's continuing this direction.
Because the people that are getting infected are not the ones that are dying.
At the same time, anyone who wants to get
they already killed all those people off.
But it's also readily available to anyone who wants to get it. By the way, shout out to Rob McNealy. I see him out in the chat, the founder of TUSC. He's out there. Everyone go ask Rob all your TUSC questions right now. He says there's more than 2 ways to look at things. That's from Rob McNealy. You can go hide in your closet for the rest of your life. Or you can just get out and live your life.
But that's fine. If you want to go hide in your closet for the rest of your life, that's totally
fine.
fine. That's your choice. You do that. But don't tell me that I have to hide in my closet.
If you want to wrap your face in a mask for the rest of your life, go for it.
There's a lot of people. Well, no. Let me put it to you this way. When I go out in Florida now, I do see people still wearing a mask.
Oh yeah.
And even people doing the double mask. But guess what? That's maybe 1 out of 20 or 30 people. It's not a lot of stuff. Oh, Rob McNealy said he wants on. Okay, someone has to send him a. Someone has to send Rob a.
Hey guys, until you wrap your eyes up, you're not safe with a mask on. Sorry.
Right.
Your eyes are more porous than
they're wet all the time, and that stuff gets in that wet and done.
Right.
Done.
It's all stupid. It makes no sense.
Rob, I'm sending you something right now. Hold on.
Let me be. I'm always in the same camp. Just leave me the fuck alone.
There you go. There you go. Guess what?
The problem is the left doesn't realize that they push and push and push, and eventually the people that just want to be left alone will break, which is what's happening in like France right now. Shit's gonna go bad for you.
Ultimately,
bad for you, Juju Bond.
Yeah.
Bad Juju Bond.
Ultimately, we're gonna have to get some kind of herd immunity to this thing, whether you get the shot or not get the shot. I actually took the flu shot this year. Like Walter's talking about what happened to the flu. Lola actually gave me the flu shot, which I don't get all the time. I get it. I get it sometimes because, especially when it's convenient. Well, Lola can give it to me, so
I got one because I had to go see my son-in-law that had the.
You got the flu shot?
Yeah, and Peggy got the flu shot and got a cold immediately. Boom.
Yeah, I think I saw you guys around that time.
Yeah. So I didn't have any. I had a little bit of a cold. Probably caught it from her, just a wee bit, But I would never get a flu shot because I don't think it makes any difference. To be quite honest with you.
42 Chills says spacesuit or GTFO. And
yeah, exactly.
I saw a dude walking around this weekend with a frickin' respirator on, with the pink filters. I just had to look and chuckle. I just, once again, your eyes are still wide open.
Okay, listen.
To
some people might be more at risk for. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't judge people. If I see someone wearing a, okay, well, I don't outwardly
here we
judge
go.
people.
Here we go.
Let me say.
When the mask is down below your nose.
Well, that's funny. When we I think we went out to eat something in the restaurants. Like, they're making the people who work in the restaurants wear the mask. Okay, but no one is wearing it properly in the restaurant.
How can I help you, sir?
Yeah. Kathleen Music Lover wants to know if Patrick is in the closet.
I'm not sure exactly what that means, if that's like a joke, because she was saying my face was large earlier. I'm no closer to the camera. I haven't put on weight. I don't really... I don't know. I have no idea. I can't wait till
winter. Is his face larger? His head is definitely bigger. I would say that for sure.
That's since he got night vision. That's
I'll give you guys that for free. I'll say he's got a
the
bigger
radiation
head.
is building.
Yeah,
he's got that.
His head
he's got
has been
that
totally out
night
of
vision
control.
thing going on.
Yeah, we can't. We can't rein him in, Like, once he started getting night vision, and now he has a laser, he thinks he owns the night. And all
Did you
kinds
guys
of
see
craziness.
the lightsaber that came out of that? Oh, it's
That's like a
incredible.
torch. Yeah, I
It
think
is
we got.
incredible.
I think we got. Hey, Rob, what's up?
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yep, sounding good. Sounding good. Welcome
Good.
to the show.
How you guys doing today?
I'm fine.
As you can
I'm
see,
good.
I was actually tired until before we started this. I was tired. Once these guys get going, they make me start get going.
Yeah, we gotta switch gears and get off this COVID mask wearing stuff. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
No.
Unless I don't know if Rob has something to some wisdom to drop on us.
I'm gonna throw myself on a pyre here,
Mm-hmm.
but I will say this: like, I think both sides are fucking wrong in a lot of ways, and I think the government fucked us from day one, both sides. And so I always say that I think it's reasonable that some people can have concerns about wanting to control a pandemic and even being pro-vaccination and not like anything that the government's doing about it or has done about it. And I think there's a different kind of road, but right now it's becoming so tribal that in some ways, I think some people are throwing really common sense out of it. Again, not endorsing a damn thing government did along the way. They fucked us from day one. So I like to point that out. But I look at the numbers daily here in my home state of Utah, and it's kind of interesting what we're seeing. And again, I'm not pitching a solution. I think the best solutions are impossible now because of what the politics and the tribalism does. Now, understand where I come from. I put together a prepping conference every year here in, a prepping meets crypto conference in Utah. And one of the things that we talk about a lot with prepping is pandemic preparation. And, I was an EMT. I'm a safety guy for my day job. So common sense preparation is self-survival is important. But I think one of the things that we don't hear a lot about in the discussion is what happens when this keeps mutating to something worse, like the Delta is worse than the last variant. Now, I'm not defending a government action, so I'm pointing out some numbers. I like numbers, not politicians. And you can look at my Twitter and see my pinned post, and you'll know my take on it. Rob McNealy on Twitter. But one of the things I'm seeing right now is I look at the case counts and death counts, and our case counts and death counts are absolutely skyrocketing in Utah. And here's the interesting thing. Is we fully bottomed out in May here in Utah, both hospitalizations, death, and case counts. Now, I'm more concerned with hospitalizations and death counts, not case counts as much, but case counts is a leading indicator. Our numbers right now are higher than they were last July at this exact same time when we had more restrictions, but we had, full masks, and that was pre-vaccination. So this is interesting.
So how much of Utah? Sorry, 50. 50% of Utah is so Utah is pretty much like the rest of the country because
we're 50% vaccinated in Utah. So think about that. So case counts are climbing. I don't know where they're going to go. So this is this is the unknown part. Like I'm just saying, as I'm watching it, and you can go look at Utah COVID case counts and look at the numbers, and that's what I look at. And it's interesting saying is that when you have half the population size now that should be getting affected, the numbers are actually going up higher when they were a year ago before anybody got vaccinated. And they're saying, at least, again, I'm skeptical about things I say, but it's all Delta variant and unvaxxed people that are having the hospitalizations and having the deaths. So I don't know where that goes, but I think it's going to be interesting because our state is very red. And our state legislature passed some legislation that a lot of people will cheerlead, but this is interesting. How this is going to play out in the fall, because our schools are going to open wide open, and they're basically doing kind of like our governor's kind of taking the DeSantis approach, and they're saying that school districts can't require masks, which is interesting. So given that the way the number is on a trajectory right now, and that difference, and I can tell you here, COVID's over as far as most people, as you can see, like there is no COVID if you walk around here. But it'll be interesting to see where we are in the next 3 months with this new variant. So my take is this when it comes to any of this stuff. Again, not advocating for a course of action. I think the best course of action that can't be done now, but I think is every time someone gets infected, even with a minor case, or an asymptomatic case, and they transmit to someone else, they're a human petri dish. And that's when the mutations can happen, and it can go to something worse. We already know, at least, that natural immunity is really weak with coronaviruses, especially these. So even if you got infected, doesn't mean you're not going to get it again. And I had it in March of 2020, and I got tested, and I didn't have any antibodies, 5 months later. But we had it. And so it's like, I even my own personal case, I didn't develop antibodies that would make me resistant from a natural infection. But so I think there is concerns that we should look at is about what happens when this gets really bad and it converts to something else. And remember, I believe this is likely a man-made virus at this point. I think there's enough information that chances are China made something, whether it was intentional or released or not. But so we don't know what a man-made virus is, how it's going to evolve compared to other viruses, right? I mean, this is a brand new thing, and this little COVID Delta variant, whatever you call it, again, I don't fucking listen to CNN. I hate CNN, but I can tell you, what if the next strain is even more infectious or even more deadly? This seems to be about more infectious, but about the same deadliness, which isn't that bad for most people. But when you start making things more and more infectious, and they get around the vaccines that are out there, that's where it gets really bad.
So my thing I would say about that is, so if you want to talk about like the logical side of it, you take away like how Democrats are looking at it or Republicans are looking at it or whatever, there's no way to stop it from keeping mutating. There's no way to. We've got too many people. Even if 100%
shut the country down because it's never going to end.
Yeah, and literally,
you can't hide from it. It's going to catch you eventually.
Yeah,
and then you talk about numbers. Then you got to look at these people are dying. Do they have pre-existing conditions?
Well, I got 2 points on.
What happened to the flu this year? And I keep bringing this up. What happened to the flu this year?
The things that stop corona from passing are the same things that stop any respiratory virus. So that actually makes sense. I would expect flu viruses to be down just like COVID because they're transmitted the same way.
No, it's not down. How is it down? Tell me how it's down. What I see and I don't think
they're not tracking the flu.
They're not talking about it. It's still there.
They're not tracking
money. There's no money in influenza. Period.
Yeah. But are there people?
Well, you're asking why the flu is down. The flu is down. All respiratory viruses are down, including child ICU things are actually way down because, especially if you look at where a lot of the flus are transmitted, are usually in public schools are like one of the biggest transmitters, and kids get sick. They might not be as bad, but take flus home, and a lot of schools were out. That's a big part of why flus are down. So if you want a real explanation about the data, that's one of the reasons. People wash their hands more. By the way, I don't shake hands anymore. I fist bump, but I don't shake hands.
Can I say something before all this stuff started? I wasn't hugging and kissing on you anyways if I didn't know you. So, and I wasn't really excited about coming up and touching your hands either because I don't know where they've been before.
Yeah, a lot of people have been doing that.
People are gross.
I mean, that's just me. That's just me. I'm not a huggy kissy kind of guy. But
can I tell you something? The lack of dirt and germs is what is the problem for most people. Come on.
And another thing is a lack of people going outside and getting some vitamin D.
I think that stuff that everyone puts on their hands, what is it? The what is that stuff? The
the antibacterial soaps. And all
that thing
stuff,
is one of the most destructive things we probably have in society. Okay, you need to actually get sick and make contact with germs. Do you need all of them? Are there certain people you don't need to go near or whatever? I would agree with that for sure. But like in the case, so for example, we're talking about this. Both of my sons who are in college got both of the vaccines, right? Before my oldest son got it, he had COVID. He got the vaccine. Anyway, when he had COVID, we all went and got tested, and none of us in the house got it. And I refuse to do the I'm not gonna. Yeah, I refuse to do the I'm not gonna hug you thing, or you're gonna live outside thing, or whatever. But we got tested and all that kind of stuff. And I think I would in general agree with what Rob is saying. That first of all, people have the right to do what they want to do, but second of all, that this whole thing got politicized. Why are we even still listening to Fauci? Why is Fauci even still the dude when he clearly lied to everyone?
Here in Florida, the numbers took off like crazy when they started testing like crazy, but people weren't dying like crazy. When you have 50,000 new cases in a week, where's those people? Where's the deaths?
Yeah, most people are not dying for it, but there's at least, the last time I looked at the numbers, there was at least 6,000 people who died of after getting the COVID vaccines itself, right? I think it's more than that. We'd have to look up and see exactly what the number is. And then what's the reasons for those? None of us really understand. We can't see the numbers. We can't understand everything that's going on, and we cannot trust the people talking it. I don't know if that.
So here's a question. Well, here's a partner. Think about this. This is a really fundamental problem. Mm-hmm. Like, what can we trust, and how do we know what we know? And here's the thing, and this is one of my contentions, and depending on, if you're talking to a conspiracy theorist, there's some conspiracy theorists that think that absolutely every possible thing in a man is untrustworthy. Any data source, any expert, any person, any government, any company, any corporation, absolutely everything is uncredible to them. So the question is, as a society, how do we function if there's zero trust with anybody? I don't think a society can last that.
Yeah, I don't know if we're at a zero trust point, but I think that if we're at a point where one administration can tell social media who they like or who they don't like and who to censor and who not to censor, but a different administration has the opposite result, I'm not trusting administrations. I'm not trusting social media. I'm not trusting news outlets. And this is like a natural thing, I think, for a lot of folks out there, that we're so obviously in a situation where these people are just manipulating us like kids. So that leads to a natural sense of, hey, I don't trust everything. But you want to look at things and make up your decisions. Like I said, I can pretty much influence my kids if I wanted to, right? So even though they're 21 and 22 years old, I could go, there's no way in hell you're getting that vaccine. I didn't do that. I was like, hey, are you sure this is what you want to do? Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
handle your thing. Do your thing. I could tell you my wife, who works in a hospital and is giving that vaccine to people every single day, is not taking it, and neither am I.
And all the medical people I know that do it for a living, negative.
Well, a lot.
Unless they're forced to, because they absolutely have to. They're not.
I mean, I know people who are doctors and stuff like that, and they got the vaccine and they still got sick. But then I know people who got sick and they're doctors and didn't take any medicine for that thing. They just did natural stuff and then just went through it. So
yeah, but going into healthcare, this is normal practice for people in a clinical environment to be vaccinated. That's pretty normal, and so that's not a new thing for COVID. That's like if you're a nurse or a doctor, it's pretty much mandatory. You're an EMT, you're seeing patients. That's pretty much mandatory.
What, so that's mandatory in emergency
for vaccines?
Okay,
typically. Yeah,
depending on where it is.
My wife's a medical doctor. I was a volunteer EMT, and that was all. And I haven't been an EMT for about 8 years now, but it was mandatory back then to get a flu shot.
It's mandatory in Colorado, or you're saying it's mandatory in the country?
It's most places. Most places that's standard.
Oh, okay.
When you're clinically involved with patients, it's pretty much standard.
It's not mandatory in Florida, I could tell you that.
It depends on the hospital. It'll be determined by the hospital system, but most places, if you're seeing patients, it typically is. That's not unusual.
Most of the women working on my wife's floor are refusing the vaccine.
Yeah. And so what they're doing now, like, so I know Lola was telling me that one of the things that's happening is that if now they're saying, okay, if you don't get this vaccine and you get sick, then we're going to deal with your time off in a different way.
Yeah, they treat time off.
That's isn't that like discrimination?
Unless you
isn't that we have laws against all that stuff?
No, I don't think it's discrimination. It would be it would be more of a problem if they forced them. They're basically saying, if you get the vaccine and you get sick, we're going to be very flexible with what time you have off of being sick. But if you don't get it and you get sick, you're going to have to use your specific time you have off. And if you run out of time, you're going to owe it back to us, kind of a deal.
It also depends on, at least at Marley's hospital, it also depends on how you caught it. If you catch it from a patient, if you catch it from the hospital, then you're covered by workers' comp, you're covered by everything. If you catch it from going out to a bar, they're treating you differently.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like if you get a needle stick with someone from Hep B or something. It's going to be the same thing. It's a workers' comp case at that point.
So, and then let's say about this, because I know, like, so one of the things, if you don't know Rob tries very much to deal with the facts, right? As you see it, as information comes into you. So what would you say if we're looking at a thing that if you're whether you're vaccinated or not, it's a 50-50 thing of whether or not you get it? What would you say about that? Would you even agree with that?
Well, do I think it's 50-50? I think what we're looking at is, you got to understand, before COVID, there was never an effective treatment for any coronavirus, and so there was never a vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, vaccines are not necessarily always that's not a treatment. Vaccines not a treatment.
So, and this is the problem where it comes out to, there's lots of misinformation out there, and I'm not going to get into an argument about ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine or anything like that.
Oh,
so,
that stuff. Yeah. The stuff they didn't want anybody to use because it was cheap and almost free. Yeah, that stuff. Yeah.
Or it could be that maybe it doesn't actually work. And there's
somehow it worked in France and in Europe and stuff. Yeah.
Maybe nothing works.
Here's the question. So
that's what I don't get to. There's no money in that, so there's no interest in it. That's what the problem is.
And I always say it's like this. I always say it's like this. A lot of times people have lots of opinions because someone else tells them something, but they may not know how to maybe. So, for instance, scientific studies, right? I'm not a scientist. I have a little bit of a science background. I do have trusted people around me that are better at reading scientific studies. And if someone's not well versed in a scientific study or scientific research, peer-reviewed journals, and they can't themselves figure out what might be right or wrong about a study or look at it from both sides, it's hard to form a solid opinion about it, because you can believe a study, but if it's a poorly done study or not reproducible, it may still not be good data. And I mean, we go back to the original anti-vaxxers stuff, like from 15 years ago with Andrew Wakefield, where it was clearly shown. I mean, he basically launched the anti-vax movement. But if you really understand why he ended up going to jail and losing his license, because he clearly fraudulently created this data set from his kid's birthday party. And you really go back and look at the history, and now that's got so many people like anti-vax based on faulty data. And I'm not saying, so I don't believe everything.
Can I ask this question? Who on this thing is an anti? Let's forget about COVID, right? And listen here, we're all people who think a lot alike, but obviously we don't all think the same way. So, and we can't get away from this conversation. Obviously, I'm sure there's people like, oh, wait a second. So let me ask this: who here on this panel before COVID was an anti-vax person? Put your hands up. None of us.
Thank you. So you just answered your own question, didn't you?
I know. I'm just saying, right? Like, I was not an anti-vax. Like, I was born in a third world country, traveled all over the world.
It has saved the vaccines. The vaccines, they stopped doing malaria stuff, right? Over in Africa, and look what's happened. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have died of malaria. And the reason they stopped, because of some goofy story about DDT, which was all fake.
Right. I was going to actually, to answer your question, so Hank, 50-50 shot. Like, I think because of the way coronavirus is mutating, like the Delta strain is likely, you might as well just consider it a different virus that has some overlap with the original strain, and the vaccines aren't going to be as effective on it. And no argument with me. I am not like I'm not like some true believer, bootlegger that says, "Oh, Big Pharma told me this, I believe it." No, I spend my time doing my homework as best as I can to, be safe, look at all the options. And so I think, are we going to live with this? Could be. On the other hand, it could get really bad. And this is what we don't know, because things are changing really fast. Now, the question is trying to stop the pandemic worth it with an unknown virus that can mutate to unknown levels, or is it better to try to stop it? And strategically, I think that should be where we have a conversation. Like, where is this going to mutate to in the next strain? Because they're getting worse, not better. Okay. And so 3 strains down, is the death rate going to be a lot more? And that's what we don't know. So when we say let the letter rip crowd, and maybe the letter rip crowd's right, I don't know. But the question is, at what point as a society do we do something? I mean, what do the numbers need to look like? That's what I don't know. Is what does that look like?
Yeah, I understand that question. I think
and no one gives me a good answer when I ask that. Is there a point which some intervention as a society, voluntarily or not, I'm not talking about what specifically, but at some point, is there ever a time as a society we should collectively try to stop a pandemic? Is there a time for that? Let's start there.
I'll let Babyface go first, since he hasn't.
Yeah, you keep saying that the virus, the D variant is getting worse, but you gotta back up and classify. What do you mean by worse? Because the death, the morbidity of the virus is lower. The virality of the virus is higher. So is that worse? What are we tracking? Are we tracking people's deaths? Are we tracking people contracting the virus?
The morbidity in Utah right now is not better than with the last variant. So our numbers are looking worse right now because we have half the sample size. So you got half the potential people that are, most of it's unvaccinated people. So so we have a smaller crowd, more infectious, but the kill rate seems to be about it's plateaued. So basically, I don't know where you are. I'm just looking at Utah's numbers. So that's what I'm.
The rest of us are all in Florida, which is you
guys are barely up. You guys are 7-day average 600 and 500 to 600 people a day catching it, and averaging 3 deaths every day.
And if you look at where we are 3-4 weeks ago, that is like almost quadrupled now. So it's going quickly, like I said. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, and that's, if you look at it, we're back to pre-vaccine numbers now. Yeah. With half the population. So I'm saying is, I don't know where it's going to go. I'm just saying is,
my answer to your
if you look at the stats, that doesn't bear out. You can see from pre-vaccine going from November 20th. Let's go back to November 1st to January. The vaccine came out roughly in January. You were seeing an average of 3,200 cases a day on the peaks and on the valleys.
What data sort are you looking at?
This is they're pulling it from it's from Google, but it looks like they're pulling it from the New York Times data set.
Okay, I'm not looking at that. I just want to make sure we're
from my point of view, to quickly answer your question, here's what, to go back to what you said. If there is not a true governing body of scientists that the people trust, that are not connected to politics and all that kind of stuff, it is. The way I look at it, people should be able to make a decision. Now, if there's places to go, well, we don't want people coming in here, this is our rules, if you want to come here, you have to do that, I'm fine with that. Like I said, in my household, everyone's an adult. I let people make decisions. My kids can move out or do whatever they want to do. They've chosen to get the vaccine and all that. Lola and myself have chosen not to do it. I'm not saying that's permanent. At some point here, I'm going to go, just like I took a flu shot, I'll go, okay, yeah, I feel more comfortable now doing it. But right now, I'm looking at a lot of different things, and based on my own personal experience, who I am, the health issues I have, or whatever it is, I'm going, nah, I don't trust it.
Part of our issues here at this house is we have there are no long-term studies on pregnant women, first trimester pregnant women, and we're working on a child at the moment.
Oh, well, don't worry, don't worry.
Exactly, no long-term studies on first trimester pregnancies. There's only some data on third trimesters because of the time frame, and they're saying that it's not affecting women as bad very much. But again, third trimester doesn't affect babies.
Yeah, we
as
are the
much.
test right now, I think. Probably.
And
yeah.
it's unapproved and won't be approved potentially until January. We don't have large case studies on, and this is only the Pfizer vaccine. Johnson & Johnson and Moderna have been put aside for a couple reasons, but Pfizer vaccine, we don't have solid numbers on what it's going to do to all of us. That's my concern. It hasn't passed trials of any kind, first, second, third.
Moderna will be approved by FDA, they say, in about 6 weeks. So it'll be formally FDA approved in about 6 weeks.
And at that point, will they have liability then?
No, they're given.
See,
given
that's the thing.
protection.
Here we go. Boom.
They've had protections from it since like the early '90s or late '80s.
So listen, there's some people.
But actually, it's interesting. But do you know why the vaccine court was created? Do you actually know the history of that?
No, I can look it up.
Because a lot of people don't know the history of that. And what was happening is groups of anti-vaxxers were actually inundating vaccine manufacturers day in and day out. Now, I'm not supporting what government does. I'm saying is if you understand the nature of it, there's a lot of bullshit cases that were inundating the vaccine companies, and they were threatening to stop making vaccines because of it. And that's why the government stepped in. And, it's like VAERS. VAERS is garbage data because it's self-reported and unverified data. Anybody can report something to VAERS. And if you understand what VAERS does, so it's really funny because on one hand, people say they don't trust the government, but then someone who brings up anti-vax stuff, they always cite VAERS as their reason for being a problem. But there's literally no checking or verification of any self-reported information on VAERS. And it's like, we got to make up our minds. And I just keep coming back to, and again, I think of terms in terms of prepping, long-term survival, and preparedness for bad shit. And I think ultimately, I'm always paying attention. I don't live in fear, by the way. I just went to Freedom Fest in Rapid City, South Dakota, which is a giant bunch of anti-vaxxers getting together. I just spent a week in a conference talking to people. So I don't live in fear. Okay, I don't. And I live my life, and I adjust my risk profile and take actions when I feel it's necessary, because I try to be common sense about this stuff. But what I can say is I'm concerned is right now, because of how fucked up this got tribally, like, your opinion on your opinion on any part of COVID now is like a political purity test, which is really botched up shit. And my concern is this: what if this was a fucking bioweapon and this was the test run and they're going to unleash something bad? Now, what happens if they unleash something else? Everybody's going to fucking rip their heads off if we have to do something about it.
I think I would be doing the same thing I'm doing right now. Because at the end of the day, if it's the end, it's the end. If it's not, it's not. I mean,
Well, I'm a scrapper. I go down fighting. So like, I'm not going to roll over and say, "Oh, I'm going to die." No, I don't do that.
But whether you get the vaccine or not, and I do want to move on because like Lola's messaging me and some people out there or whatever.
This has always turned into a big circle jerk.
Yeah, exactly. Whether you get it or not, it doesn't mean that you're not fighting or whatever. Like at the end of the day, everyone places their bets. And this is what happens. You either win or you lose. You might inherit the planet. Somebody else might, like, whatever. At the end, a freaking asteroid can come and hit the planet and take us all out.
Hey, I don't live
sideways from something else.
Yellowstone could go off tomorrow, and if you're in Utah, that's going to be bad juju, Barna. So
it's going to be bad juju. But I'll tell you something here. So I'll tell you something that really would, if we would have not gotten tribal around this and we actually had honest leadership in government, the best thing that they could have done is the government could have unified, but there's no way it did. But, even Trump admitted in February 7th, 2020, they knew it was an airborne transmission thing when the government was still saying on the other side that it was all handsy, touchy bullshit,
And Kamala Harris said that she wouldn't take the vaccine under Trump. That she then, when they got into office, went and took the vaccine.
It's all scummy.
It was the wet market. That was a wet market. Yeah, that was a wet market.
But it was all bullshit. But what they should have done is they should have focused on improving indoor air quality. In other words, the best thing you can do for COVID is ventilation improvements. No more air changes per hour in buildings. It's a shared air pocket problem. That's why the riots outside don't really lead to, like super spread events, but going into a bar or funeral or something is more likely to. It's because of the air.
We didn't take this year to improve anything. There's so many things that as a society, as a country, we could have improved in the year plus, right? that we've been on the lockdown. I mean, I can't even argue that. I'm not arguing your points with you at all. I mean, we've missed so many opportunities to deal with so many things.
But that would have been controversial. We said, said, look, let's invest in indoor air quality. It'll make the schools safer, to make the hospitals safer, make old folks' homes safer, and then people who want to get vaccines will also limit that. That solves most of the problem, and you don't have to have a fight about it. But here's an interesting thing, how government fucks everything up. My buddy runs a bunch of charter schools, and he said that the government reopening dollars for COVID excluded HVAC improvements explicitly.
Of course.
Go figure.
Why would they want to fix anything? I mean, that couldn't hurt us at all, right? Like, other than this, that can help in so many ways, but why do it?
Exactly. And so we had opportunities to do things. Yeah, we had opportunities to fix things and make it better without fighting, and we didn't do it. And that's because we have shitty leadership. And that's what I get frustrated on. And I think we got into this level of polarization if we would have done
it. To me, it comes back to the 50-50 thing, right? Democrats, people on the left didn't do it simply because of who was in the White House. And that is on them. That's on them. That was
the main reason.
So now,
totally agree with you.
Yeah, here's where I'm at with Trump, for example. If he does something wrong, I'm willing to say this was a wrong, horrible thing,
chicken shit,
and I don't support it.
Trump was chicken shit when this started.
But hold on a second. When it comes to this COVID thing, I think that they did the best that they could possibly do. Okay, they went ahead and tried to do everything they could do, and the other side refused to cooperate with them on a lot of things, and made it worse. And just kept saying it's somehow Trump's fault that we had a COVID in the first place, right?
When this started getting wound up in China, you can't tell me the intelligence people didn't know that here. If they didn't, they had their heads stuck up their ass. Now, secondly, soon as they knew this, they should have shut China off. I mean, they had. The month that we were in the SHOT Show in January, the last time the SHOT Show, there was 400,000 Chinese in the U.S. 400,000. They should have all been round. They should have first not been here at all. Airlines should have been shut down, and the ones that were here should have been rounded up and shipped back to China. So
for the politicians, it's always been more important to further their political gain, whatever it may be, than to actually do stuff.
The Democrats started squealing racist.
By the way, this thing was in America from like October, November, December.
Well, they knew it was going on in China, my friend. But they didn't do anything about it. Yeah. They let the Chinese keep coming here and breathing all over the place and spitting on everybody. And that's what they do. If you watch them walk down the streets, they're spitting all over the place, and they let them keep coming in. And what happens? We're all infected.
Walter, it's cultural, Walter.
Well, we were at the SHOT Show.
Walter, we live in Florida. Everyone spits all over the place. Have you seen these guys? You don't. So is it only Asian people that chew tobacco and all that kind of craziness?
Let me just say something here.
I don't think so.
They didn't do anything, and they knew this was going on, and let the people keep coming. That's who's at fault.
I would agree that. I think you're going a little far out on the line, Walt.
It didn't come flying in from the winds from the east. It came into somebody's mouth. So
for a politician, there's always something more important than what
they're so scared they're going to get called a name. You know, if you're a real leader, you do what you have to do, and you would have been a hero.
AOC has a tweet that I hope will haunt her forever, saying that we need to keep the pain of the lockdowns and from the economic standpoint, we need to make sure that the economy doesn't recover quickly because it would hurt Trump.
They're getting these people used to sitting at home on their ass doing nothing. And getting the check. That's the problem.
Yes. Have you went out getting sued?
Have you went out to eat lately and tried to go to a restaurant and get decent service?
Florida, I'm not even sure who it is. I haven't looked today. It brought up a lawsuit against Florida to have them reinstate the government money.
Yeah. Okay. Listen. Okay. Listen. Right, I'm gonna. Yeah. We have a lot of people watching us. We should be able to get 100 thumbs ups. we're transitioning, so you guys should give us 100 thumbs ups right now.
I'm not transitioning. I am a male.
We're transitioning the topic here. Here's how I'm going to do that.
Baby.
I wish a lot of this was decentralized to come to to the point that you're making.
Oh
Rob.
God! Why don't you just give him a layup over there?
Yeah, I wish all of the. I wish that a lot of things that are important to the people, okay, would be decentralized. So that is my transition into talking about cryptocurrencies, which I noticed cryptos were going up. Cryptos were going up today, right? Did you notice that?
Yes,
or is
sir.
that just me? Why is that happening?
Noticed.
Why is that? Why are the cryptos going up?
Hell if I know.
Oh no, you're supposed to know.
Is that honest?
You
enough?
know.
Hell if I know.
Now you don't know.
That's an honest answer. I like that.
Okay. Yeah. My idea, the reason why they're saying that cryptos are going up today is because Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. has been going down for a while now,
people
right?
are buying.
Yeah. Well,
so now people are buying.
There's stuff going
buy
on.
Number go up.
Yeah. There's stuff going on in China that's scaring people right back into cryptos. Is that a proper assessment?
Is there problems at the wet market again or something or what? I mean,
boy.
So I was rolling the chicken bones next to my tea leaves, and a smart person I know said this. He says it might have been there's some threats to some of the stable coins that are the U.S. dollar tether and stuff, and they say that some people might be exiting back into Bitcoin. I don't know if that's true. So I don't know. The thing with crypto, dude, it's all speculation driven, and when stuff's so speculation driven, it's just so volatile. There's not always a rhyme or reason for any of it.
Hank and I were talking about this a little bit the other day. I forgot how we came to this, but the idea that TUSC. I imagine
I gave you TUSC. That's how we came.
Well,
no.
But I imagine you guys don't. If you want to see a crypto that is truly a usable currency, you don't want to see the volatility that you see in Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of those other ones, right?
Ideally, but you got to ask here. But there's a couple ways to deal with that, right? Is like one, why are cryptos volatile? Like that's like ask the question. Bitcoin's been around a long time. Why is it so volatile even now? And this is how I like to explain it. The fact is, no cryptos anywhere in the world at this point are really used for buying and selling things in any great amount. It's all speculation driven. There's market manipulation in there. You got some high frequency trading going on. And so that tends to lend itself to this heavy duty volatility where we believe that over time, cryptos that actually get used will start to become to a more stable natural equilibrium. But in the meantime, because of atomic swaps and stuff, you don't have to hold it. You can just swap right out of it instantaneously into something like another more stable coin or even cash. So it's like that's what we're saying for retailers.
Why do you think? And I'm hoping you know more about this than I do. Why do you think the larger cryptos have become speculative markets? Why do
they always
see
were?
Them as speculative?
Well, they're assets.
Were they?
So they're limited. So like Bitcoin's a limited asset. So.
Somewhat, but so you're saying that people initially have always kind of seen it as a speculation instead of a currency, like that's what keeps running through your head.
So with Bitcoin proper, you could see a change in the community narrative in 2017 when they had the split to BCH and BSV, and that was they call it the kind of the small block, big block wars. So what happened is the Bitcoin community fractured a couple times starting in 2017 because some people in the community wanted to make it faster. And to do that, they had to change the protocol to have bigger blocks. And some of the community said, no, 10-minute minimum block times are preferred, and it's slow. And that fractured the community into Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and then later became Bitcoin SV. And so if you look at basically the community that won and kept the Bitcoin brand, they are slow and they kept it that way. But if you also look at them, they also around that time started pushing, instead of peer-to-peer electronic cash, they started pushing the store of value narrative around Bitcoin. And if you look at any Bitcoin maximalist now, all they say is hodl, hodl, hodl. Well, if you're telling people to save it and you're telling people and all you talk about is price and all you do is tell people to save it, you're telling people not to spend it. Right? You're encouraging the investment angle. And I think it's become, Bitcoin's core or BCT has just become literally a 401k. That's what it is. And I own a lot of Bitcoin, so I view it as that myself. I'm not going to spend my Bitcoin to go buy Starbucks.
Yeah.
How does and this is a tip, just a tech question off for me. With it being decentralized, how can large changes to how blockchain works, or how does that happen? Like, who gets to decide? Is it kind of like Linux, where everybody pitches in and then they kind of formulate what's going to happen? Like, who gets to decide those big changes like that, which caused the split?
All right, so different blockchains do it differently. So a proof of work blockchain is different than TUSC, which is delegated proof of stake, which is different than proof of stake. So we're about to go through that. So we're doing our first hard fork.
Update. Yeah.
So good. Oh, cool. So we're doing our first hard fork September, October. It's looking like, and it's going to be really cool. By the way, we're doing a lot of cool shit. I can't talk about all of it, but with us, since we're pretty small, it's not as political yet, right? And so essentially all a hard fork is you say we're going to upload the new code by this date, and then in Bitcoin or even with us, our block producers just have to. We say we're going to go through and we're probably going to pause the blockchain for a week during that process to get a good snapshot, and then switch over the new code. And basically, the miners in Bitcoin or in Bitcoin, for instance, a certain percentage of the miners have to adopt the new fork, and that becomes the dominant fork. Okay. And they have to voluntarily basically set up the new fork. And so there's generally a time where you're having the new fork is running simultaneous to the old fork, so that they have a good kind of they have a good the data's matching between the two, and they run parallel. And then at some point, everybody says, okay, we're going to switch on this day, and everybody update that code. And generally in proof of work, enough have to do that. In our blockchain, we're delegated proof of stake. Our block producers have to do it, and the block producers that essentially don't update to the new fork will just be voted out. Okay. And so that's...
I know, blockchain has always been confusing to me in the sense that, like, I don't know, I guess so when it gets adopted, the majority wins. Is that sort of how it is? What if people don't adopt the chain? Do you guys revert back?
Yeah, you either get on the boat or you don't. Right.
What would happen is that you could have our block producers, you could have another group of block producers that stays with the old code if they chose not to update.
Okay.
And they could still technically run that version of the blockchain, and that's kind of what happened with Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin,
and so that still has value. Those people who stay.
That's where I was going with it, Hank.
Well, in most cases, it does not. In the case of Bitcoin, it did. So, this is where a lot of people what happened during Bitcoin's fork was like the first, it was a big thing, right? And when they did that Bitcoin Cash fork, everybody on Bitcoin, basically everybody who had Bitcoin also got an equivalent amount of Bitcoin Cash. And Bitcoin Cash isn't as big as Bitcoin, but it's still worth a lot of money. So if you were an OG at that time, you doubled. A lot of guys now who are loyal, though, sold their Bitcoin Cash and then reinvested in Bitcoin.
So that's what I was kind of going at is when you make that split, there's a chance that you kind of create wealth out of nothing, sort of.
It's not nothing.
Let's start. We haven't done it yet. This is our first, so we're kind of we're being very careful about how we do it, and that's why I'm saying maybe September, maybe October. And even though most of the coding's already done, it's like we're going to make sure that we have a long announcement period so people can update and everybody's aware of it, and then we're going to have to communicate the exchanges to kind of let them know not to do any transactions in that period of time. And so it's just like you got to do it carefully. But with us, we have a very small community still compared to like Bitcoin or Ethereum. And so most of our community is still pretty active, and they know what this means for the project. So with our big hard fork, we're implementing asset and NFT creation is one of the main functionality upgrades. So on top of it, most of it's nonsense. So we forked originally BitShares, an old version of BitShares, at 2.0, and BitShares is going on to 6.0. So we were way behind on some updates. So it's a lot of security improvements, some speed improvements, but there's there's a lot of interesting new functions in the latest core of BitShares. It's funny because we actually have 2 Monero devs and 2 BTS devs that are working on our project. So it's like we got really high-end people working on it. So this is going to be a good thing for the project. So there's no sense, even economically, to run the old version that doesn't have any of that.
So let me just do, and I'm probably the worst person to do translation here, because
sure?
I don't know that much about this stuff, but I know Rob knows a lot, but he may be going past some folks. There's some people who are watching this and participating in this chat that completely get this, right? They get this just as well as Rob does, probably better than I do. But what I'm trying to do here, and this is why we got involved, right? We're actually stakeholders in TUSC. TUSC, obviously, as you can see from right there, sponsors the show. They pay us in TUSC. Every now and then, if I feel like it, I give Babyface P and Walter. Yeah, Walter respects it. At least I don't know about Patrick.
I'm banking it. Like I said, I'm banking it.
But it gives us a stake in it, and what I want to do is keep all the folks who are in the conversation with us now in it, right? So basically, what you were just saying there with this fork that you're talking about, Rob, is that TUSC itself came out of a fork of another entity, right? Is that what you were saying there?
Yes. So there's only like 3 to 4 main code bases that almost every cryptocurrency in the world are based on.
Okay.
That are slightly so understand that there's not a lot of raw code bases out there. There's just a couple, and then people copy them, improve them, add to them, remove from them, and that's called a fork. Okay. So when you copy someone else's base code, it's called a fork. And why people only do that is because a lot of the base encryption protocols are pretty rock solid science. Like you don't need to reinvent the different, SHA 256 and some of those, the cryptography piece that makes blockchain so secure. You don't need to make that from you. You take other people's stuff. Why we liked BitShares as instead of the Bitcoin code base is we really like the voting aspect and the proposal aspect that we have into our process in our project. And then when we do a fork, all that means is that we're updating our code. That's all it means. We're copying our old code base, improving it, but continuing on with a new direction. Yeah. Because you can't just shut off a blockchain. It just doesn't work like that. It's not like a normal software. Blockchains are just software. And really, the simplest way that I could describe a blockchain, it's a big database that's spread across independent computers that talk to each other. That's all blockchain is in the simplest form. It's a big database that's kind of slow, that's spread across a bunch of computers that are run by independent people. And because those little computers that run the blockchain are run by independent people, it's more resilient. So if you have one company that runs one big database and someone attacks that one big database, they can take out a whole system. When you have a decentral, it happens a lot, unfortunately. But what happens is if you have a
outage from last Friday or Thursday, there was a huge outage on. I don't know if it was Cloudflare or AWS.
This is what Patrick does. So he I guess
cloud engineer. Cloud engineer.
Yeah, he's a cloud.
Nice.
He's a cloud engineer. So let me okay, so basically my rough translation, lots of cool things coming for TUSC. In order to do that, this fork has to happen. Lots of cool things come on board. Hence the reason why last week Hank Strange was talking about NFTs and everyone was like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you even bringing up NFTs? So go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you a couple.
I'll
give you a couple quick uses why NFTs are interesting. One, having people create NFTs using the TUSC blockchain. Now these are so I can say that there's going to be some probably NFT marketplaces. Like think of eBay for digitally controlled products. And so, but there's two things that I think are really interesting from the gun angle. But the first thing is that if people start creating NFTs, it adds value to our blockchain, which will instill confidence in gun retailers and improve our liquidity. So there's a practical purpose why I want to do this. But two, if you look out there on Instagram, look how much gun art and photography and people posing their guns like they're Playboy bunnies next to the BMW. Like, look at my gun. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that the gun world needs to get the fuck off Instagram and put out that artwork, which is what it is, and start selling it and presenting it as NFTs on the TUSC blockchain once that marketplace is up and running. Okay. And I think that will actually create more value for the artist in those spaces, because there's some amazing photography coming out of the gun space, but it's basically relegated to Instagram. And which
Instagram is making money off of it, but not necessarily the people creating it. Yes.
Right.
Which is what's happening on Facebook and a lot of other places. Not so much on YouTube, but in a way, YouTube is also doing a very similar thing, right?
Oh, yeah. But that can go away anytime, and it probably will. And then the secondary thing is, I think it could be an interesting, safe place to put 3D printed gun files.
Okay.
How
stored
so?
that could.
Like you would pay for it using the NFT? Like how would a file? So I come, I have caveman brain where I think in terms of file stored on server. I go to the server, I get my file. How does blockchain work with that?
So typically, when you're dealing with NFT creation, usually you're dealing with two blockchains. Okay. First blockchain handles the actual ownership rights and the keys, so to speak, because all an NFT is a blockchain token. From the blockchain standpoint, it's just a token. Mm-hmm. And then inside that's
where the NFT
non-fungible token. Mm-hmm. And then that token will point to a data file that's often on another blockchain.
Yeah, hold on one second. What's the question, Walt? We got to let the old dudes, when they ask questions, like Walter, we got to let them get it in so we can help out the dinosaurs.
NFT, what is that again?
Fungible.
Fungible.
Uh-huh. Fungible.
It's not money. It's a crypto token, but it's not a money crypto token. It's usually like artwork or a file or a media file.
It's a space or a spot.
Yeah.
So
kind of.
Yeah, so it's kind of like ownership papers, right? It's kind of like a title or a deed to a thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting uses that you can do for NFTs. There's a lot of, a lot of people are only talking about the artwork piece where people are creating digital art and then selling those in like eBay kind of marketplaces. But what happens is like the artist can like create a series of like 1 token, 100 token, or 1,000 tokens and sell those off. But then they're essentially, think of digital rights management software. Essentially, in this case, that's kind of what it's like. Is that if you got there's only 1,000 of these that are legitimate. If someone tries to copy it, but you can prove that you're the legitimate owner of that. Think of like digital baseball cards.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a couple different folks doing, the pro sports team and doing
NBA stuff,
basketball
the
cards.
videos.
Yep.
Yeah.
So NBA Top Shots.
And here's the thing, because I know some folks in the chat that are looking at this are going to be like, because if what typically happens with a lot of things, people see whatever's making the news. So whatever's making the news, if it bleeds, it leads, right? That's what everyone's dealing with. So a lot of people, if they hear about NFTs, they're seeing where, this NFT sold for $70 million, or this one was 100,000, 50. The thing here is that in our space in the gun community, outside of those photos and videos that you're talking about, Rob, we also spend a lot of time thinking about like the challenge coins. Stickers, there's t-shirts and things like that. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we gather and we make, that costs money and all that, and it has to get shipped and everything. That's money. And when people think like, you're just making up something out of nowhere, that's not necessarily the case, right?
No, I mean, ultimately, we're not making it up. And so independent people can release their own artwork or photography or digital designs or even challenge. I didn't even think of challenge coins. That's a good idea. And they could release them digitally. Now, I mean, that's kind of interesting. Can you imagine, like, think of it like if you're, I have another idea too, professional shooting competitors issuing their own baseball card type things as NFTs. That doesn't even exist now in the real world.
And doing that to help get there, because why are we making challenge coins? Why are we making t-shirts? Why are we selling stickers? Why are we trying to get, what is the thing for your keys? There's all kinds of stuff that we're trying to do. Why are we trying to do it? We're trying to raise money, and one of the things you could do is create these things, someone buys it, then if they want to, they could go make that into a sticker. They can go put it on a t-shirt, but they know they've supported someone. Does that make sense, or does it make sense?
Well, think of it like this. What if like the challenge coins, you go to SHOT Show? Like, I've been to SHOT Show. You guys have gone to SHOT Show. Wouldn't it be cool if you meet like a celebrity, like, I don't know, Jerry McNealy or, a Hank Strange at SHOT Show, and you could say, look, I really met this guy, and I got his crypto, I got his challenge coin here, and he only issued 1,000 of these, and I got one of those 1,000 or something like that. That would be kind of a nifty, cool thing, even if it doesn't have a lot of monetary value now. 5 years from now, he might. Right. And I think, but those are the cool things you can do with NFTs, and you can prove, look, I have this cryptographic hash. It proves the time and date I got it and my ownership rights to this. It's not like, you see a lot. I mean, think about like in terms of stolen valor. You're seeing this in mill Twitter, right? Everybody's always bitching about stolen valor and people fighting about different things. And I'm like, man, you could easily, what if you want to put your DD2214 on an NFT and prove it's you or something? I mean, there's a lot of, I'm just thinking of a lot of interesting things you can do with that technology that people aren't even dealing with right now. And so to me, I'm always thinking, what would be a different, more unique application of these NFTs for our community? But I'm also thinking in terms that Instagram's going to fuck everybody that's in the gun world at some point. It's just a matter of when. By the way, I think I texted you this earlier about that article from PayPal. Hank, did you see that text I sent you earlier?
Yeah.
I don't know
I
if you...
shared it.
So
I did share it with these guys also.
I took action on that hint. So
yes.
Yeah. So just understand this is going to happen, and if we don't do something now and build the infrastructure, we're going to...
This guy right over here has already had it happen to him.
I've already been banned by PayPal because I'm a gun guy. And I didn't buy a gun or anything like that with PayPal. It was just a company that makes holsters that supports us wanted to pay us through PayPal, and they immediately banned me for life. And then did the same thing to Lola. And then here's the article we're talking about, just so we can give people some context. Because there are people out there, even in our chat, who are like, why does this matter? I don't care. I'm a caveman. I live in a cave. None of this is going to affect me. So this is PayPal to research transactions that fund hate groups. Okay. London Reuters, PayPal Holdings Inc. is partnering with nonprofit organization the Anti-Defamation League, ADL, to investigate how extremists and hate movements in the United States take advantage of financial platforms to fund their criminal activities. The initiative will be led through ADL's Center on Extremism and will focus on uncovering and disrupting the financial flows supporting white supremacists and anti-government organizations. Look, this goes on and on. You can look this up and read it. It's important because these guys are already implementing ways of stopping people. We're not a hate group, but we could get lumped into that category. We already are lumped into that category, and people are attempting to shut us down.
All you have to do is disagree with somebody about whatever, and all of a sudden you're a hater. So it's like, you can't have a conversation with somebody anymore.
Well, think about what's interesting and scary about that article is that they're going to be working with the ADL to automate basically blacklists. Okay, that's what they kind of implied in there.
Yeah, that won't
How
go
hard
wrong.
is it to get? Now, like, I'm not a fan of the ADL in general, but how hard is it to get on their watch list or their list, right? You just have to be like an Eamon Bundy or someone, or just be outspoken, and you're on their list. Now it's like a no-fly list. You don't even have control. You don't even know you're necessarily on there. There's no appeal. You can never get off. And now they're going to be just using that you just automatically wipe you out. And if you don't have plan B, it's going to happen to you. And I just think that, like we're trying to do with TUSC. And look, I don't even care if it's TUSC. If we're not the one that everybody adopts, fine. We did our best to try. But the fact is, if the 2A community of conservatives and patriots don't start adopting Minds and Odyssey and TUSC and other crypto blockchain-based systems, they're going to be host. It's just a matter of when. Iraq Vet just lost his Facebook page with almost like 1 million followers on it. Worked on it for like 10 years. Just got it. Lost it. No
when
appeal.
When was this? Today?
Couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, I remember
saying,
that. Yes, I remember him saying that. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if he's gotten it back or not.
He won't get it back. Yeah. He said he's forever banned. And so it's like it's just a matter of time. And it's funny because he's pretty even keeled, I think, among a lot of people that like give political opinions. And so ultimately, if we don't adopt this stuff or people don't start taking this seriously, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose.
Yeah, and he
They're
could.
gonna just-
It's
they're just gonna
possible he
just-
could get it back. There are people out there who are helping. I know when I lost my page, there were people. There were some folks out there that helped us get it back. Eventually, people are not gonna, and there are people who have not gotten pages back, and eventually this is gonna happen. It's going to be more frequent. Let me get to Jerry Parker is asking a important question here. He says, "How can I get some TUSC?" That's from Jerry Parker.
The best way I would say right now is just go to probit.com or bololex.com. But if you go to our website, TUSC.network, there's a list of exchanges you can buy it on. It's hard right now. Over the next couple months, it's going to be a lot easier to get TUSC and set up accounts. We're revamping everything, like from top to bottom. We're becoming a new boy. So understand it's early so we're fixing the house. It's a lot of work, takes time. But right now, just go to TUSC.network and there's a list there on where you can buy it.
Okay. And there's specific instructions at TUSC.network if they want to sign up for a wallet there, right?
Yeah, that's on they're under the community section. There's several PDFs on that.
Yeah,
and
Walter can do it, anyone could do it, and Walter did it. So, yeah,
it's gonna be it's gonna be really cool because once the new wallets come out, where it's all gonna be wizard driven. So proposal making will be wizard driven, account creation will be wizard driven, and I can tell you we should be on an American exchange I would say by Christmas, but maybe much earlier. We're working on something right now, so you'll be able to buy it with a credit card right on an American exchange. So we're pushing for that. It's just it takes time. And in fact, I have a meeting on Thursday with the vice president of a major global exchange, and I think we might have an interesting shot there too. So we're working on it, but it just takes time.
Cool. Let me get this up here. I know I've missed some super chats. I've been putting them up in the screen. We're having, I think, a very good conversation. I would encourage everyone to smash the thumbs ups. This is from Crypto Vital. I'll put it up here.
Money. Money.
If anyone wants me to go back to theirs, I will. So Crypto Vital says, when you're going to set up an ERC20 and a Bitcoin wallet, Hank, we all need to slowly get away from the paper system that has enslaved us. So good question, and I want to tag on to this for everyone to think about, because I know that there's lots of comments here saying like this is people try to make something from nothing. Lots of people get ripped off in these kinds of things, and there's lots of people who are very skeptical about this because they think it's some kind of get rich quick scheme or somehow they're going to be ripped off.
I can address that, and if you want. So I was interviewed today for the Reload. That'll be coming out soon. So this is what he asked me some of these similar questions. So I said, if you look at the get rich quick scheme pump and dumps, there's a couple things that's very different about them. One, they're anonymously put out there. Like it's some random cartoon head, and you don't know who it is or where they are, and they're pushing it. They're the ones that promoted it. We're out there in docs. You know who I am. Rob McNealy. I live in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm not hard to find. Okay. Two, scams typically have a short life cycle, 6 months at the most. We've been around working on TUSC now for 3.5 years, and you can go look and see we've been out here doing this and talking about this for years now. And most scams are really short-lived. They don't last very long. And three, most scams or pump and dumps, if you look at how they're promoted, the promoters of them only talk about the price, Lamborghinis, when you're going to get rich, how much you went up in the last day, that kind of hype in marketing. We have never done anything like that. In fact, we don't allow that in our groups because our focus is not the investment angles of crypto. Our focus has always been trying to solve a problem. So there are definitely characteristics by which you can look at something and see if it's a scam or not. But those are kind of what we see are the telltale characteristics of scams and pump and dumps.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to come back to Crypto Vital's specific question. So the counter that Kathleen Music Lover says digital money is enslavement. You got it backwards. So what would you say to the folks out there that think like this is the wrong thing and this is a bad direction for people to go in? That the almighty dollar or just having bullets and guns and everything is the solution. Like some of that conversation was going on in the background. I'm not knocking anyone for it. I have lots of bullets and guns.
Well, understand I also put a prepping conference together, on a regular basis. So I understand the mark of the beast and Old Testament kind of references to 666 and all that kind of stuff. I would have to say is that technology is a tool that can be used for good or evil. And I think one of the things is who's issuing it is part of it, right? If the federal government's issuing currency, I think that's far more inherently has strings attached than something that we issue. But two, the big difference is that we're open source software. So you can go look exactly and see what exactly the rules are about, what our code is. There's no scams in there. You can go read the code and understand what the rules are at any time. It's publicly viewable. But I think also I'm not an all-in kind of guy on any one thing. I also invest in other cryptos, but I also invest in precious metals. I also invest in brass and lead. I also invest in training and skills and things like that. I also invest in networking and making connections. So I'm very, I like to hedge across every asset class that's possible. I don't just say put it all into crypto, and that's not what I do personally, and I don't recommend that for anybody because I don't think it's good prepping kind of thing. Like I was at the Freedom Fest in Rapid City, and they had a lot of gold guys, and then you had a lot of Bitcoin maximalists that were arguing how, Bitcoin's better than gold, and I'm like, that's the wrong argument. Bitcoin and
why can't you do a little bit of everything, however you want to spread it out,
right? And that's how, and I try to be moderate on that because that's, to me, it's like you just don't know. Like obviously, if as what's his face was saying, if the Yellowstone blows up, we got different problems than if the dollar loses 70% of its value in a year, right? Those are different problems, but you should probably prepare for both the best you can.
Yeah.
If you have to go live in the woods, you better know what you're doing when you go out and live in the woods because you're not going to have your computer with you when you're out in the woods, and there'll be no power. So,
but also let's consider this. Do you have any idea what the government is doing? Because if you think you have money because you've got actual cash dollars or change or whatever,
fiat is BS.
Yeah, if you think you've got something because of that, you don't. You actually don't, and you're not in control of that
fiat
either.
Is nothing.
Yeah, who's the government is in control of that. Is the government telling you how much money it's printing? Is it telling you how much money it's spending? Can you go somewhere and figure any of that out? Nope.
Can you go cash your paper money in for something?
Yeah, you don't have anything. So I'm not saying like I don't care about my money. I have more money, like actual, dollars and cents money than I do TUSC, of course. But I probably have more guns and ammo than I do actual money.
But I think there's different problems there, right? And I think you should prepare for everything. I said this so I was on this bus at Freedom Fest. And by the way, Freedom Fest was a lot of fun, but there's definitely some people that are really out there and really scared. And this lady was talking about we're all going to die
something called Freedom Fest? I doubt it. That's impossible.
And this is my advice to her, right? And she's like, what about an EMP? We're all going to die. I'm like, EMP is probably the most traumatic next to a volcano exploding, which would be very similar to an EMP and impact. But I said, an EMP is the least likely threat to happen. But I think here's the thing. If I said to most Americans, lose 40 pounds and get out of debt, that would solve most people's problems.
How dare
Just
you,
lose
sir.
40 pounds and lose 40
savage.
pounds and get out of debt. And that'll take care of most people's major pressing issues. And I mean that. Like, I'm working on my 40 pounds too. But I think ultimately, crypto is one tool in the toolbox. It's not the only tool. And people that think crypto is the only tool are just like the same guys that, go and buy, $10,000 worth of guns and they're like, weigh 400 pounds. Okay, I'm glad you got all those guns and someone else will use them and put them to good work when shit hits the fan. But you should probably be working on that 400 pounds. It'd be better to lose 300 of those pounds, or and then have
you're gonna
gun.
be dead if you go from 400 to 300. But yeah, I'm with you. Listen, and also there's something to be said that all the skinny people are dying first in the in the zombie apocalypse. At least if you got some fat, you got some kind of stored energy. Do we have do most of us, and me included, have too much stored energy? For sure. For sure.
That's your tactical fat. Your tactical fat.
Tactical fat. So listen to Crypto Vital's question about he says, when are you going to set up your ERC20 and Bitcoin wallet, blah blah blah. This is why I'm getting into this stuff and doing all of this. I think I have Coinbase, right? That's kind of like a wallet thing, right?
No.
That's
Go use
Coinbase.
go
Coinbase
get-
is for trading stuff, right? For things going
Coinbase
in
and
and
Exchange.
out. Yeah, Exchange.
Take a look at Trust Wallet.
Trust
Download, and
Wallet?
it does
Okay.
both. It does download the Trust Wallet app that does
Okay.
both. But I think
Okay.
when
So
you start
Trust
getting
Wallet, Trust Wallet app. Okay.
yeah,
I'm
Trust
learning
Wallet's a good
something.
wallet.
Okay.
And that's a software wallet, but then I always recommend that, put stuff on a hardware wallet. So if you're doing Bitcoin and Ethereum, ERC20 stuff, you're going to want to put those in a cold wallet, but we can have another conversation about that offline because that's a little more complicated. But
Okay, so I'm throwing these up here on the screen. Which one is Trust Wallet? This Trust thing?
The second one.
The second one?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the
one,
Trust Wallet.
that one right
okay.
there.
Okay, there you go.
That's
All right.
That's a good app.
Okay, I'm making a copy, a photo. That's how old people like me remind themselves of stuff. I make a photo of it, and when I forget, whatever. Don't worry about that. It's just a tip for old folks. So let's see. Were there any other questions? I don't know if you're seeing any, Rob or Patrick or Walter, that I'm missing, or if Walter has any, or Patrick still has some.
I've decided to hold for now.
Oh.
I would like to spend some of my TUSC
Yeah,
millions.
that's
but,
what I'm expecting you to ask Rob. How to? Okay, I'll ask it then. So what if
How do
someone?
we spend our money? How
Yeah,
do we spend our
yeah.
TUSC dollars?
We're working on that. So
Okay.
Some people want to make it rain, Rob. Some people are newly millionaire. Let me see. How can I point to Patrick?
Newly
people-
Tuscanaires.
Yeah, and they want to make it rain.
Okay, so where are we spending our time? So we haven't been spending a lot of time on onboarding retailers yet because we want to wait a little bit until we get through the hard fork and improve the wallet so it'll be a lot easier for them to use. That being said, there's going to be a couple things coming out. So there's going to be some 80% lowers that are special edition for TUSC that you can only buy with TUSC. That's going to be coming out very soon. In fact, I just got a text about that. That'll be one place. If you go to citizenarmor.com, I think you have to give them a ring, but they will accept. So if you want body armor, you can buy body armor with TUSC right now.
Oh, right now. Okay.
And upstate New York, East Side Traders, they also accept TUSC, so give them a ring up in upstate New York. And we got a few others that we're talking to, so I can tell you we're also talking to a few charities and stuff. We're in talks like GOA, some of these guys, where we can actually give donations in TUSC. So we're working on a few different things, but we're really grinding right now on getting like all the tech stuff upgraded because honestly, setting up a wallet sucks right now. It's just harder, and we're going to make it a lot easier. So instead of like driving a lot of people to that right now, we're like, let's just wait a few months and, while we're making things really pretty and cleaning house. By the way, you can buy domain names right now at epic.com.
With TUSC right now.
With TUSC.
Oh, okay.
Epic with a K,
that's-
epic.com.
Epic.
So,
okay.
and they are a two-way, and they are a First Amendment, Second Amendment safe harbor. So do your hosting there, move your Amazon Web stuff over there. They got a Cloudflare. They're doing a lot of fun stuff right now. They just bought a crypto exchange. That's what I was saying is they've kind of adopted TUSC. So we're working closely with their team now, but we are in their Master Bucks program. So, and we're going to be integrated on their new Amplify exchange. And so it's all admin stuff right now with that. So take a look at epic.com. So we're working on lots of different things. I also know that if you ex Humbris, there's a few different places we're going to be getting TUSC discounts as well, and we're working on a list of retailers that'll give us a discount if people pay with TUSC. So we're working on it. It's just there's not a whole lot of us out here doing this, so it just takes time. But we got a bunch of other fun stuff we're going to work on. So it's like we all have day jobs too. So it's like literally last week I took off last week just to go to do Freedom Fest and stuff, and I was on stage talking about TUSC and stuff. But ultimately, it's just, this is a multi-year process. This is not like something you just launch a coin and you're rich overnight. I mean, it's going to take years to get the adoption that we need to do. But I can tell you...
I was just going to say, my favorite story here is back when I was working at my first company out of college. It was 2012, 2013. And Bitcoin made its first jump from like $70 a coin to like $300 a coin. And I was like, first off, I was only making like 18 grand a year, so I didn't have any spare money. But I remember looking at it and going like, I am not wasting my hard-earned dollars on something that's, super volatile. I'm going to lose all my money. It's a terrible investment. $300 a coin, and now it's, 10x that.
But it's over time now, right? That's over time.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Investments.
That was over the last 12 years. That was 12 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Not 8 years ago, 10 years ago.
Crypto Vital made this. I'm sorry. Let me just get this in. Crypto Vital says, "See the cash inflation around the world? Question mark. I haven't lost a dime since 2017. Invested in a reputable project and companies, and there's lots of things like that. That if you were looking at Tesla, Tesla's been around for like 10 years, right? If you were looking at Tesla a long time ago, if you were looking at Apple or a whole bunch of different companies, you'd be thinking the same thing. So." And of course, the world could end and everything could be worth nothing.
But again, we should be. I do agree. I do feel that we should be telling people this is a money currency. You're supposed to be seeing it. You're not supposed to be seeing this as I'm going to be a Bitcoin billionaire. In 10 years, it's supposed to be a cash alternative, right? It's supposed to be a currency.
I like to say that, and I'm not anti-Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is my 401k or part of my investment long-term retirement. And we're trying to, instead of creating digital gold like Bitcoin, we're trying to create another form of digital Venmo, right? And we did things differently. Like technologically, we're really fast and we're really cheap to transact on. It's green energy for people who care about that stuff. It needs specialized, expensive hardware to operate and run it. We designed something that would be spent. Now, do I think it'll go up in value? Who knows? If we're successful, probably, but that's not why I'm here. Like, my focus is solving this problem, this pressing issue facing an industry that I believe is facing an existential crisis with payments. It's just a matter of time. They've already proven to us what they're willing to do. They've already stated what they want to do, and they're going to do it. And so right now we have
the question is what people are going to do to react to that. So let me ask Walter, Patrick this question, and I'll ask the folks in the chat. I'll start with Walter. A lot of people, Walter, whenever we have this discussion, say, look, I could just go to my gun store and buy stuff. Okay, you're a manufacturer, and you're genuinely a gun guy. You buy lots of things, but you buy gun stuff. Do you think it's necessary to buy things online? Because people are saying, well, I won't need to buy anything online. I could just go into a store. And do you think they'll even try to stop you from going into a store and buy things? What's your read on this?
When you say stop you from, who's going to stop you from going into a store?
Well, so the first place, do you think people
physically
are
stop you from going into a store?
No, not physically stop you, but if the store can't do transactions, you can't pay with your credit card. You could probably pay with cash.
Have to pay with cash.
Yeah.
We have to move back to a cash society.
Yeah. I don't see where. I mean, I see new credit card type people popping up on a regular basis that are firearms related. I don't think it'll completely go away. There'll be a lot smaller ones.
How do you pay for a lot of your stuff when you go out? Do you take out a big wad of cash, or
no, not necessarily. Everybody uses debit cards and credit cards and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, that's just the way it is. It's convenient, so to speak.
Right. And so, okay, so and what I mean by stopping, so easily online they can go after transactions, and I think people can accept that, but people think they can't stop transactions. The store itself, they could stop it at the store.
Oh yeah, they can do that. I mean, they've been doing that for a long time. This is nothing new. I've told you that before. I mean, there's always been credit card companies that don't want to have anything to do with gun stuff, and that's nothing new. I mean, I encountered that 20 years ago. So, but now it's turned it. It's not because the guns are a risk. Now it's a political thing. We talk about this tribal thing. It's got nothing to do with reliability. It's got nothing to do. It's just it's politics, and these people that want to think that they're going to change the world because they're going to. But remember, the world is cyclic. Remember, there's like I always tell you, watch the cycles. Everything goes in cycles. So, I don't know what this cycle is going to end at, but yeah, it's going to get challenging. It's going to get more challenging. Yeah, I mean. Without a doubt, well, you gotta have options. That's what they say. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, as they say. Have different ways to do things.
Well, I would contend, like, I get that question's come up before about like, why would I buy anything? I'll just buy cash to local gun store. I'm like, that's fine. You're not the customer, right? And if you look at most guns are bought on a debit card or a credit card now. And you also got to look at it. We're talking about e-commerce, and I would say that much of gun sales, but not only gun sales, but accessories, are all done online.
It's done remotely.
It's all done, and there's lots of and the thing is, this is a good thing. You got lots of small mom and pop, retailers. You got lots of small mom and pop manufacturers just making 1 or 2 components, or maybe they have 10 components. Like, so let's just say you're like, you don't have the distribution. Getting distribution in like retail, firearms market. There's, in the retail firearms market, there's about a dozen big distributors that control the market in the United States, and it's hard to get into those. And then you have to do the manufacturing stocking orders, and it's really hard for a small mom and pop to even make enough to like fund that. But they can say they can do one-offs and make 1 component or 2 components or even small parts and sell them directly. And so there's that e-commerce thing, and that's just people who say I can just walk in a gun store what I want. I'm like, one, lots of gun stores aren't going to have all these little unique little parts and accessories.
Yeah. Your gun store is not carrying polymer 80s that often. I know there are gun stores that have it, but that's not common.
99% of everything we sell is all sold through the internet, online, that kind of thing. So
and so people who say that are like, I imagine a guy with a 1911 who says that. Who also doesn't, and he's the same guy that doesn't have a checking account, right? And cashes his paychecks at the liquor store. Okay, there's those people out there. Okay, fine. They're probably not the customer, and they probably don't make up a significant part of the gun buying public either. But that's not the problem we're trying to solve, okay? Because the industry's so competitive now, is that you got to do online sales. I mean, pretty much, if you want to make it in the gun world, you are doing online transactions. And we're trying to solve that piece first, because that's the part that has the most problem right now with payments.
Yeah. So Patrick, did you want to answer that question, or you?
What was the question?
I was asking Walter if he thinks it'll be necessary to buy stuff, and then I was going to ask you if you think it's going to be necessary to because if you're saying, hey, I don't really need to buy anything online, I could just go to buy.
No, I'm an online shopper. I'm 100% an online shopper.
Oh,
I do more
I
online shopping than I do in-person shopping any longer.
Okay.
I mean,
go ahead, Walt.
I can't remember the last, aside from like a gun show, but I can't remember the last time I've been in a gun shop.
I'll go to a gun shop if we're working on a project and the part we lose it or something like that, and I got to get it now.
I did go buy a box of ammo at a local gun shop a year or so ago, but
part of my problem, and the reason I don't shop at local gun stores any longer, is the stuff that I buy isn't carried at local gun stores. I don't get things that are typically carried there. So yeah, I have to shop online. And most of my shopping, I don't know. TUSC may be the solution to it in the future. It's not there yet, but I don't know if I'm the target audience for it. When it comes to firearms things, I haven't bought new in a long time. I'm not typically the new purchaser. I typically wait around for somebody to go, I don't want this anymore, and then I cash in on that. But in time, like I've been buying a bunch from secondary markets, and in time it might be easier to shop with somebody on a secondary market. Because right now, the only way you can trust somebody is, like, if you're buying the things that are sitting in front of me that I'm waiting to do for show and tell. When you're buying things like that, you have to, most people tell you, listen, you pay me through PayPal, Venmo, blah, 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 and do not put any comment in there about anything. Because if you put a single comment on, it's firearms
this was for my Glock 19.
Yeah, so everybody knows now, like, if you're buying and selling even flashlights, sometimes they'll get you pinged. No comments, no nothing. Here's my address, send me whatever. That's it. But no, maybe in the future TUSC will be, a solution for that, where I don't have to worry about my account being shut down because I decided to purchase a laser.
Yes, we're going to get to show and tell. We're going to let you show your awesome night vision stuff. Let me just get this question from DRB166. He says, if I remember correctly from the first time TUSC was mentioned on this show, TUSC is not an investment coin. It's intended for purchases only. The value is stable. Is that correct?
That's why I mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, so, Rob?
No, the value is not stable from the standpoint that we're not a stable coin or artificially pegged to some other currency. And so the volatility thing is there, but that's the same thing that every crypto has. But we believe that over time, that value is going to stabilize on its own once it gets more widely used, and that's just how that goes. It's a growth process. I mean, it just really is. If you look at even like fiat currencies, you know that some fiat currencies are more volatile than the dollar because the dollar is the most stable fiat currency. But there's a couple of reasons why we're not a stable coin. We could have built a stable coin, but the main thing is when you build a stable coin pegged to something else and try to peg that value, you're now slave to whatever that value is. So for instance, if you're pegged to the US dollar and the dollar hyperinflates, well, that's not good for your crypto, is it? And we believe that the market should determine the value, and ultimately it will. And we think that's the safest way. And on top of the technologically artificial pegs like stable coins, there's a lot of technological problems with those. On top of that, there's a lot of legal ones. And so we felt that it just was better to let the market determine the value. And we're going to work really hard to get it so people are using it, and that'll make that value easier. But in the meantime, you can conduct business with TUSC, and if you don't want to hold it, you can swap into another coin that is a stable coin. We have trading pairs of stable coins, or just cash out. And you don't have to sit there. I mean, it's not going to change dramatically in like 10 seconds, and you can instantly swap out of it. So it's like the volatility thing is kind of like a false argument in a lot of ways. But I think over time, I mean, it's just like we're early right now. We're a young project in the grand scheme of things. We're building something that's going to be here in 50 years, 100 years. That's the focus, is that how do you build something from scratch that's decentralized and protects people long term? And it takes a lot, and it takes time, and you got to do a lot of education and a lot of hand holding and a lot of phone calls and things like that. And we're doing that work. It just is, I'm not making excuses. It's just we know that this is a long-term process. But on the other end of it, what else did the 2A community got? If they lose their processing, they lose their payment processing, they got nothing else right now. They really don't.
Creating a crypto based on a fiat seems just completely stupid to me. Like the point of moving into crypto is, for me, is to get away from a government-run fiat. So
yeah. So DRB166 wants to know, is TUSC still for purchases with a fixed value, or is it becoming an investment? We're not. I don't think we're talking about it from my point of view. I'm talking about it here so that people find out about it. Go ahead.
We aren't the ones to decide. You know, the person who creates it doesn't. Once it's out there in the world, you can say this is what my intentions were, but you lose. It's no longer your child. It is out there in the world for the world to decide what's going to happen to it.
Yeah, and from the point of view of us having a relationship with TUSC, right? And Rob is connected to TUSC. You're the founder, right? Or one of the founders.
One of them.
Yeah. So our point here is TUSC. We're paid in TUSC, and to sponsor the show. And if I wanted to, I could cash that out and use that to pay bills, or hold it or do whatever I want to with it. But the point is for us to have these kinds of conversations and get people thinking about it and promote it and get people in the industry to think about it. So at the end, when all of this comes crashing down, or when this happens, we have some kind of solution already in the works, and you would have already heard of it. Even if you wait up until that point to get into it, you can go, okay, I need $500 to buy something. I'm going to go buy TUSC, and then go to this place and pay for that thing. You can correct me on that, Rob, if I'm off.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, ultimately, and how it works with transactions is that because the market does fluctuate, if you're on an e-commerce shopping cart and you're checking out, what it does is, say something costs $100. It'll automatically go and look at what the current spot price of TUSC is and translate that $100 into a number of TUSC. And that's done on the fly. And that's how the current transactions are done with payment gateways. But I can tell you, we're up, I'm just looking at, Coin Paprika, we're up 463% in a year in value. Take that for what you're worth. That's where we've done that in a year.
And that's probably from people out there getting involved, right? People finding out about it and going, hey, I'm going to, get into some of this and start looking at this and thinking about this stuff.
Oh, I did need to ask, for somebody in the early days of Bitcoin, mining was a huge thing. I know it's still a thing, but you have to have huge infrastructure these days. Is there any equivalent on the TUSC side?
Of course. But our process is a little different. We call our miners block producers. We have only 21 of them, and then we have that are active block producers making blocks and getting paid, and then we have 79 backup at any given time. So if one of those 21 goes down, then another one will fill its spot. Those positions are elected. So in our blockchain, everything's done via voting, and so it's kind of competitive. And why we only have 21 with the backups, and the reason it's done that way is for the scalability. So, our average confirmation time's on average 2.6 seconds. So it's instantaneous to do transactions on our blockchain compared to a lot of blockchains that can take hours for.
Is that where it's hosted? I know someone asked earlier where TUSC is actually hosted. Is it
all over the?
It's on the blockchain. I think
the block producer nodes are the hosts, and they're hosted all over the world. I know there's one of our block producers in Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam.
Okay.
I don't know.
Ho Chi Minh.
So they're
boom.
So
awesome.
So literally, you have blockchain. You literally have nodes all over the world. So that's part of the decentralization aspect. And some people run them on their own home machines if they have a good uptime connection. Some people run them on Amazon web servers. Some people have run them at a server farm. Just depends on in where that is. But with our blockchain, it's very competitive. And typically the people that are getting elected into the block producer positions are people that are known to the community because they're active. They've been around, they talk, they do different things for the community. I run a node. That's one of the ways that I get paid for spending so much time on this is I run a block producer node myself. And then if you go to my block producer website, it says this node is run by Rob, and he does this for the blockchain. You should vote him, support him this way. And that's kind of how it's done with our blockchain. It's very democratic, essentially. And people that don't pull their weight get booted out. People that are not active in the community get, it shuffles around, I guess, is the thing, is that people get voted in and voted out. I wish we could do that with politicians. As easily. So nice. They can come up for a vote every 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes, there's an interval period that you can vote and shuffle your votes around. If you wanted to, you could knock a block producer out every 10 minutes.
Okay. All right.
They're not performing.
How many votes does it take to get to that point? How hard is it to get somebody knocked out?
Now Babyface is thinking about making power moves.
Yeah. No, I want to be on this. Of course I want to.
I will tell you that most of the block producers are people that there's devs some of the devs are block producers, and so it's competitive. And I tell you this because I have a lot of TUSC, so I have a lot of votes, and I tell people like this: I will always vote in the best interest of the blockchain, even though I have friends that are block producers. For instance, if a big player came in and wanted to do a branded block producer, let's just say a big company was going to start accepting TUSC, and I can tell you we're talking to several of them. So this may be a scenario that happens soon. Mm-hmm. So if a big company decided to accept TUSC and work with us, part of that deal might be is because I believe that would be good for the TUSC blockchain, that I probably would have to vote somebody out to put them in that position. And I would do that with my votes.
If they don't perform, the same could happen to them, right? If they come on board but don't do anything.
I personally don't have enough votes to, I don't have enough votes to make it happen anyway. I'm just saying it's how I personally vote on things. That's how I vote. I'm always going to vote in the best interest of the project ahead of personal loyalties because my focus is making the project successful. We are talking to several big companies in the 2A space. And one of the things that we're doing about how do we get adoption of crypto is that we want to get it. So we're looking at maybe trying to position TUSC as an airline miles coin in the beginning, kind of like Brave Browser and BAT tokens. The idea is that maybe you go buy something on an e-commerce website, a big 2A gun store, and you buy with a credit card, normal, but maybe they give you cash back in TUSC or fund your account with a percentage of TUSC. So one of those things would be like, well, maybe they could put up a block producer that supports the network, but then they can earn the TUSC to help offset the cost of that program. Mm-hmm. So that's some of the things that we've been talking about how we could get adoption early on. That way people, over time, they buy a lot of things from that company. Maybe a year later, they got $400 or $500 accumulated in that account. Now they can buy on a year or two later or what have you. But it gets TUSC in the hands of people without them having to go through the hassles of buying it in the beginning.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, listen, time we have left. We got to let Babyface get into his night vision stuff. I don't know if Rob, do you have night vision? Are you into this already? Babyface is going to give a class right now.
It's not just not just night vision. I picked up a whole bunch of expensive things that I'm showing off.
Oh well, okay. Let's.
I got a PV.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a PVS 14 on my team. Wendy, does that count?
That's exactly what I have. So there you go.
Okay. Let's do it.
So I picked up.
Let's see what you got.
For anybody that hasn't looked on Instagram, I recently finally got my hands on a.
Waiting for it to focus there. Yeah, there you go.
This is a dual mag clamp for the MP5. These things are nowadays are unobtainium. They probably used to cost. It's just stamped sheet steel. Probably used to cost nothing. Nowadays they are highly collectible. But I finally got my hands on one, so I can keep one. Just for the MP5 collection.
Okay.
We also picked up, if you haven't seen yet, let me make sure that I cover any important details so nobody can see where it came from, and I have no idea where this came from. Oh, come on. Maybe
probably
focus.
Autofocus.
There you go, boom.
This is a full power D-Ball i2. Picked up on the secondary market, and this thing will, if you want to see what this thing will do, go check my Instagram out. It will burn your retinas right straight out of your head. It's very impressive. And then last thing, if you haven't done it yet, you guys should go and find some nice headphones. These are Swordens that I just picked up.
We're just getting a lot of flexing right now.
Yeah, I am. I'm flexing. Let me tell you.
Okay.
Again, this is all used. I don't buy anything new. I will never go back to. After putting these on, I won't go back to the walkers.
Oh.
At least not without the gel cups. The gel cups are a must.
Oh. So now your ears have been spoiled, I guess. His ears have been spoiled.
Wait till you try it. Wait till you try it. You will understand what I'm saying. They are the sound quality. It sounds like superhuman hearing.
Okay.
Do you have a PTT yet for that?
No. So this one is this one is not a comms unit. This one just has the plug in the back for like an audio jack. So I've not gotten to that. I also, for anybody curious, I do have one of these. There we go. So eventually, I will try hooking these together. I just haven't quite gotten there yet.
Okay. All right.
So there's a great push to talk. I bought it recently. Disco 32. It's a vet-owned company. They make really cool antennas. Disco 32. And I got a push to talk and flexible antenna. You can like weave it through your Molly gear and stuff. And I am super impressed with the quality. So check out. I don't have any affiliation. They don't even accept TUSC, but I like their stuff.
Do you have your ham license? I'm guessing you do.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what
it's not important in a crisis.
KD0 MG.
Absolutely, it's not important when
in a survival mode. It's not important.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There'll be nobody checking your license in a survival.
Yeah, what's your call sign, Rob? I can see you want to tell everyone.
KD0 MGX.
There you go. So for any of the folks out there, you can start calling Rob right now. I guess I don't know. I'm not sure how that works.
I'm not answering right now.
Receiving. Yeah, you got to be receiving to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like buying good equipment and the best I can afford to in general. But I think it's good stuff. I don't have I don't have an illuminator or my designator yet, and the one I want I can't afford. My mama, sugar mom won't let me buy them all. I really want them all. I can't afford them all.
Again, to make sure nothing is seen, I have no idea where this came from. This was gray market. $1,200, full power, and let me tell you, when I say full power, it's the I think it's up there with the Ingol and the Raid X. I believe it's a 50 milliwatt laser. It will literally melt somebody's eyeballs. It's impractical from a.
This is the only thing that matters to Babyface P: the melting eyeball power. That's all he needs to know. The scale at which he can melt someone's
in my house. I'm just going to aim a laser at their face. I'm going to do a video on it with a better quality. I bought a little attachment from a night vision for the camera. It's completely impractical indoors and anywhere short of 200 meters. So for a civilian, it's completely impractical. But it is hilarious to look at a beam like this coming out of the end of your rifle.
So I don't know if anyone else is wondering or asking this question. What rifle is this going on?
So I put it on the MP5 to play with a little bit. It's a little
Uh-huh.
too big and a little too impractical for the MP5, so it probably will go on my SBR, my typical
Okay.
war SBR.
Okay. All right. Walter, you have a comment or something
No, I'm
over
just
there?
listening.
Oh.
I'm
Just
just
wait till you see
listening
it
and
in person.
grinning. I'm just listening
Yeah.
and grinning.
Armament and Axis says we don't need no stinking license. That's from Armament and Axis. Who has questions? We got like maybe a minute or so here. If anyone has any questions that they want to address, we can definitely get to them. I would invite everyone that's listening to us right now to smash those thumbs ups. At the end of this here, we'll get Rob to give his info if anyone wants to follow up, ask more questions and stuff like that. I know there's lots of people that have questions about the TUSC thing, so and we don't cover it here all the time. So if Rob is available, that's why I was happy to have Rob come on and talk about this, as well as this other stuff we talked about, which I'm going to try to avoid getting into at this late stage of the show. But I thought that was a great conversation. We should all be able to have conversations with each other without
Sure.
without popping heads off. So
Right?
usually usually that's one good thing about technology. It's more difficult for people to get their hands around other people's throats. If you feel like that's what you need to do. CB says Streamlight is better for SBR floods, a room has laser, blah blah blah.
I already know. I already know what I'm buying. It's just a matter
okay.
of putting the money together.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a Surefire X400V that gives you light and IR, both laser and light.
Yeah,
It's just they run about $700, and that is a lot of money for a flashlight.
Yeah, Rob, did you already say what you think is a good thing? I think you did. Like, what's
Which
your
good
brands for the lights and stuff like that?
I don't have a light yet. I really want
Okay.
a mall.
The
I
mall, okay,
really
yeah.
want a mall. I like a mall, but I think I got like a mall taste, but I got more like a pursed budget.
Okay,
Yes.
so if your
The
wife
malls
is
are very
listening,
expensive.
or whoever your sugar mama is, I don't want to assume.
That's my sugar mama.
That's what you want for Christmas.
That would probably take up about 10 Christmases, I'm guessing.
Oh,
So they're
oh, okay.
mall. So again, this was $1,000. Malls are about 28 brand new. They're very
Yeah,
expensive.
they're
How much
they're-
brand new?
They're
2,800.
just shy of $3,000. They're very expensive. They are on the civilian side of things. They are pretty much the best of the best when it comes to civilian lasers, but they know what they have, and they're not letting it go for cheap.
I can't wait,
Fire
Walt,
dynamic.
until we could buy some of this with some TUSC. That'll be
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
call Buyer Dynamic and let them know.
Yeah. Yeah, get up on some TUSC, damn it. Okay, listen, let's do this. Let's go around the clock here because we hit 9 o'clock. So we went through, 2 hours already. Let's go around the clock here and get everyone to tell the folks out there how they can communicate with them. Walter Keller, how can the people do that?
You can find me. You can find us on all those places they're going to kick us off around eventually. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. That's Safety Harbor Firearms. There's also Dirtfoot Racing is on those too. Also YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm on some of the other ones too, but I just don't have time for all of it, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
When you're trying to do 500 different things. Yeah, and then there's stuntparts.com, and then there's of course you can just do the old school safetyhourfirearms.com and give us a phone call. The phones still do work.
Yes,
so.
and at some point we'll get Safety Harbor Firearms on TUSC.
We'll work on that. We'll work on that.
Since we got Rob here, Go ahead, Rob.
What shopping cart are you using?
I'm not sure. I don't do that at the shop. My son and my wife take care of all that stuff.
We'll talk offline about it.
Yeah.
I make stuff, so yeah.
Yeah. Walter makes the money. He shakes that money maker. The money comes raining down. Just like
I was putting fluorescent light bulbs up and putting LED lights up in the shop, replacing fluorescents today,
right?
And other stuff
you liberal.
too.
You greeny liberal, you.
Damn fluorescent bulbs are such a pain in the butt. And trust me, as everybody knows, I'm not a greener. So
yeah.
And you probably got a 1.6 gallon flush toilet too, I bet.
Not because I want the fucking thing.
Did I ever tell you my story? I'll
boy.
tell you my story about my buddy was smuggling toilets in from Canada back in the day, but I'll tell you that story another time.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
right now, I would love to have an old school dump a ton of water down toilet
yeah. See,
because
so-
my septic system, my pipe running to the street is a long one, and it would work a lot better. So.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah. See, that could become a whole market.
See,
All right.
there's a problem with those toilets that don't put any water down. They don't flush anything away. So.
Yeah, sometimes if you drop an extra compacted deuce in there,
If you launch as I say, if you launch a trident. You know,
Okay, listen, let's go to Babyface P.
YouTube.com/babyfaceP or Instagram is baby_faceP. We're growing. We're still growing, and I have multiple things on the way. Video today actually got monetized. I can't freaking believe that, but it did.
Oh, it did.
So
Which
yeah,
video?
if you want to
What
see
video
the
is that?
dagger,
Oh, okay.
if you want to see the PSA dagger, it is up
Awesome.
today.
Cool.
And I do have more stuff on the way. We're going to be doing a lot more NVG stuff in the near future once I get my camera hooked up. But this is the new hotness for me.
All right, awesome. Make sure you guys check out Babyface P. Okay, Rob, for the folks out there who want to find out more info about TUSC, or maybe are having problems or something like that, can they also harass you, keep you up late at night?
They already do, and I welcome it. So the quickest, the easiest way is join our Telegram group, and you can find that link at TUSC.network. That's TUSC.network, TUSC.network. And why I always tell people to go to Telegram, that's where the most active part of the community is. And there's always somebody there watching it. So if you have a question, you'll get a faster response going to Telegram, and there's lots of people that are really helpful in there. So I always tell people just go to TUSC.network and join the Telegram group link there. And then, I'm usually watching, but a lot of the co-founders are in there and devs are in there and a lot of the community's in there. So it's just good to get to know the community. If you want to be a block producer, start to get to know the community. That's how they vote for you.
Right. Absolutely. There you go. That is good advice. All right, so listen, I'm going to run in the end. We're going to come back here. Who should give us the words of wisdom today? Should we? I don't know. Let's leave it to Walter. I think Walter got the least input on this show. So Walter,
that's a miracle.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I got something in my mind.
Yeah.
Already.
Okay, you do. Okay, just let that ferment there in your mind. I'm gonna run in the end here. Big thanks to everyone hanging out with us. Especially thanks to Rob McNealy from TUSC for coming in here. And making a nice, lively conversation on a Monday. Babyface, of course, and Walter. And you folks, all of you guys out there, you can smash the thumbs ups, all of that. Let me run the end in right now. Right back, words of wisdom. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, all that kind of good stuff. We're going to rip the audio out from this and throw it up on iTunes and all your favorite places to listen to your audio podcast. Walter Keller, words of wisdom, sir.
No matter how you prepare, just prepare for the future.
Okay.
So whether you prepare with cryptocurrency, you prepare with a sharp blade, you prepare with a full magazine, you prepare with a closet full of food, just prepare. Just prepare something. Be ready. Be ready.
I agree with that. All right. Very well said. We're out of here. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace. See ya.